Okay.
Let's see here. Okay, I think we are live now. So just give a couple seconds for people to kind of, let me share this real quick before we get started. Give me 1 second.
Sure, take your time.
All right, almost there. All right, so I'm good. I shared it, and so we should be good to go.
Okay.
All right, so thank you so much for joining me today. Um, First, I just want to have you introduce yourself to everyone, if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah. My name is Tyler Mazaris. I'm a home inspector with Detailed Home Inspections. I've been doing home inspections for about 4 years, and I'm part of a 6 inspector team. We cover all of the Northeast Ohio area. So.
Okay, cool. So we kind of touched on this a little bit before we came up live, but I was going to ask you just how have things been for you with this whole COVID-19? Has it been slow? Is it picking up, or just how is business overall? Are you still doing home inspections right now, I guess?
Sure. So, for us, the springtime is our busiest time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely been slower than usual. But
Okay.
things are starting to pick up and look a little bit better. It's shaping up to be potentially a strong summer. But obviously, it's a weird time for everyone. We're going into houses wearing masks and gloves, not shaking hands, obviously. So taking all the precautionary measures that we need to, but it's just different.
So, do you ask people to leave, or are they still able to kind of be around?
So we have been kind of working based on people's comfort levels.
Okay.
So if customers are comfortable being there with us, we don't mind. We just
Okay.
keep our distance and we still communicate with them. We just don't get too close, things like that. So it's really based on the customer's needs.
Okay. Okay. So when you go in and to start your home inspection, can you just share like what exactly you're looking for?
Sure. So, a general home inspection covers pretty much all aspects of the home. So, the way that I work through a house is I'll start in the top level of the home. I'll check out the attic. I'll look for roof leaks, make sure the attic's ventilated and insulated properly. I'll work down through the house, checking plumbing, windows, electrical outlets, light switches, pretty much anything you can think of. And then down in the basement, we'll look at, or crawl space, or if it's on a slab, it's different, but we'll check out the furnace, air conditioning unit, hot water tank, the electrical panels, and then we'll do the exterior and get up on the roof as well. So it's a general overview of everything. So yeah.
Okay. And then how long does a home inspection typically last?
Yeah, so it varies depending on the size of the house, obviously, but usually between an hour and a half to 2.5 hours will be
Okay.
the range.
Okay. And then can you talk about like, so if someone is looking for like a home inspector, is there any tips or any like certifications or licensing that they should ask or look for?
Sure. So when getting a general home inspection, not getting any other services, it's a good idea to look for additional licensing other than the state licensing, because state licensing actually just got passed very recently in Ohio.
Okay.
So up until a few months ago, you didn't have to have any type of licensing or certification to conduct home inspections. So you could
Which
really
is
grab,
pretty scary.
yeah, you could grab anyone off the street. So, leading up to state licensing in Ohio, we kind of always operated under the standard of the American Society of Home Inspectors.
Okay.
And so all of our inspectors are certified inspectors under ASHI. So there's just ASHI inspector, and then there's ASHI certified inspector. And to become an ASHI certified inspector, you have to complete over 250 home inspections and have the reports reviewed by a third party.
Okay.
So when you get an inspector who's at that level, you can assume that, they're pretty qualified after doing 250.
So if you're a buyer potentially looking for that home inspection, like, is there something that they should ask for, or like, do you have a certificate, or if they're just, or should they just ask?
So you can get a certification licensing number. So I have that information. So I have the licensing number, and then I have my ASHI certification number as well.
Okay.
And then we also, when speaking with clients, we provide a list of our past 5 years of clients and all their phone numbers, so that they can call them at random and, ask how their inspection went. Because you can ask someone who got an inspection a week ago how it went, and they're going to say, yeah, it was great. Tyler was really nice. It seems like he found a lot, but they're not really going to know for another year or two.
Right.
So if you call someone who got an inspection from us 4 years ago, they're going to give you a better answer than someone recently. So we like to provide that. And I think it makes our clients feel more comfortable.
Okay. And then can you tell us on average how much a home inspection would cost? I know it varies based on the different add-ons and everything.
Sure. Yeah, it varies. You can expect to pay, kind of across the board, you can expect to pay between $300 and $450. $300 being the low end for a smaller home, $450 being for a larger home.
Okay.
And then add-ons, Radon will run, $150 to $200, and that's kind of across the board with home inspectors. And there are other services like wood destroying insect inspections, and we scope sewer lines, and we do mold testing as well. So all individual costs.
Okay. So you just mentioned radon. So a lot of times people, that I would say for me, I think that's the second most common inspection that people opt in for. So first is your general home inspection, then the second is radon. And then oftentimes people are unfamiliar with what radon is. And then when you explain to them what it is, they start to like freak out at this point. At that point, they know how scary it is. And so can you just explain what the radon is? Do you see it a lot in certain areas, and maybe when somebody should have a radon inspection?
Sure. So what radon is it's a byproduct of uranium in the soil that comes up as a gas into the home, and it is linked to lung cancer when someone has long-term exposure to it at high levels. And so it's in every home. My home has it, your home has it. It's just depends on the severity or the amount that's actually in it. So what we do is we set up a 48-hour monitor that takes radon readings every hour, and it'll give us an overall level of radon in the home. And if that level is above a certain amount, then we recommend that a mitigator come in and mitigate the radon. The nice thing about getting a radon test when you get a home inspection is that the seller, if the home tests positive for elevated radon, the seller has to disclose that. So, in that case, it's, I don't want to say a guarantee, but, the majority of the time, the seller will be the one who pays to have it mitigated, which costs around $1,000. So you pay to have it tested, and, if it comes back negative, great. But if it comes back positive, then you can usually count on the other end to pay to have it fixed. It's a very easy, foolproof system to fix. It costs about $1,000, and when they install it, it gets rid of it right away, and it's a continuously running exhaust fan that vents out the radon.
Okay. Do you find it in more neighborhoods than others? Like, is it more like rural? Is it here in the city? Is it like an east side or west side of town thing?
Yeah. So So it varies. It's kind of an interesting thing because it's an aspect of the soil composition for the most part.
Hmm.
So it varies and it comes kind of in pockets. So for me, in my experience, the highest that I've ever seen it on a regular basis is Willoughby Hills,
Okay.
and kind of immediately surrounding areas. I've come across it a lot in Paynesville, and a couple of times in North Ridgeville, but other than that, it just varies. It's place to place. You could be on a square acre area, and all of the homes around you are going to have it, but then all the homes immediately outside of that won't.
Okay.
A good idea to know when you should test. Um, it's nice to test anyways for peace of mind, but a good
Yeah.
kind of indicator is look at the other homes, and if you see a radon mitigation system on the side of the house, probably a good idea that you should get your house tested. And what that looks like is it's a PVC 4-inch in diameter pipe that goes up from the basement all the way up the side of the house, and just kind of has a cap on it. So it sounds kind of normal, but when you see it, you kind of know it looks a little goofy. So that's a good idea of when you should get tested.
Okay. So obviously you recommend a home inspection be done.
Yeah, it's always a good idea. I inspected a brand new, well, not a new house. It was a house that was built in the 50s today in Bay Village, and but it was a flip. So on the surface, if you're going in and you're buying a newly renovated house, sorry, my cat's trying to
That's okay.
get in there. When you're buying a newly renovated house and you're walking in as a buyer, everything looks sparkling clean and perfect. They've done
Yeah.
everything. They've replaced the roof. They've replaced the HVAC. They've replaced a lot of electrical outlets and the plumbing. So it's like, why would you get a home inspection? Well, today, the inspection that I just did had one of the longer inspection reports that I've had to write in a while. It was a lot of overlooked things, a lot of electrical and safety issues. So we find a lot of things that you can't turn up just by walking through a home. So it's always a good idea to get an inspection, no matter how old the house is, whatever kind of condition it's in. So yeah, I highly recommend having one because it's your only safeguard in the process of buying a home.
Yeah, agreed. So I definitely always highly recommend people do it. So because what happens is sometimes in some cities when they have a point of sale inspection, they will use the point of sale inspection. Well, the city has already looked at it. And even in a city that has a point of sale, you should still have a home inspection done because they're not looking as thorough as you would going through there. And it's always kind of funny to me because buyers come in, buyers absolutely love a beautiful home, a home that's been recently updated, nice new finishes and everything. But at the same time, they're like, oh, but this is one of those flipper flopper, like they don't even know what to call it, flipper flopper houses. And they just immediately think of a nightmare situation where the person came in, they just put like lipstick on a pig and now move it in. So in those cases, I always tell them, well, you're going to have a home inspection in there. And that home inspection is actually a nice safeguard as well, because your contract, at least if you have a good agent, that contract is going to have a contingency in there so that they can go back to the seller and ask for either additional repairs, or they can back out of the deal without, I mean, you lose your home inspection money, but that's better than losing out on a lot more, having to dump money into the home.
Yeah, and I always try to tell clients who are considering using us, people worry about the upfront price of an inspection, but when you're paying $300 to $400 to basically put almost what you can call a warranty on your $200,000+ purchase, in the grand scheme of things, that little upfront fee doesn't really seem so bad.
So do you recommend for a buyer to be there at the home inspection, not be there, or just overall, or the seller? I haven't experienced the seller being there, though. I will say that.
Yeah. So the buyer, definitely.
Okay.
We do inspections all the time where the buyer can't come. and we'll send the report, and sometimes they'll call and I'll walk them through it. But I mean, there's nothing like actually being there on site with your inspector, where I can go through each level of the home, find issues, and then walk the client through the issues so they can see like firsthand what I'm telling them about. And especially for first-time home buyers who aren't familiar with obviously home ownership and all the mechanicals and upkeep that come with owning a home, it's very nice for me to have an opportunity to really explain to them how everything works and how to operate things, just so they don't run into any headaches down the road.
Okay. What's a common problem that you see like kind of comes up that always seems to come up when you're doing an inspection?
Yeah.
Or is there any like one reoccurring thing to look for?
Well, there are a lot of recurring things. I would say a big one that ends up being a big cost to repair would be the Federal Pacific electrical panel, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yeah.
So usually, older homes will have one electrical panel, and if it was built between 1950 and 1975-ish, in Cleveland, Ohio, it's extremely likely to have an electrical panel made by the company Federal Pacific.
Okay.
Federal Pacific was sued out of business because their breakers were failing to trip when they needed to.
Okay.
When a breaker is overloaded and fails to trip, there's potential for a breaker fire, which can cause in turn a house fire. So that happened a few times, and now whenever I see a Federal Pacific panel, I recommend that it be replaced. And they have a very distinct sort of breaker box and label on them. So if anyone's ever in the search process for a home, they can kind of look up a picture of a Federal Pacific panel and kind of have that in their head, and then when they're looking at basements, they'll know it when they see it.
Yes.
So that's probably one of the more common ones. Kind of on the more general end, a lot of homes have flat grade, which is the soil and the grass that leads up to the foundation.
Okay.
Flat or sloping towards the house. And that's the biggest contributor to water or dampness in a basement. So
okay.
A lot of times, houses will have pretty severe water problems, and then they'll pay $10,000+ to have it waterproofed. When a lot of times all they needed to do was fix the grade.
Okay.
And then even after it's waterproof, they still don't fix the grade. I think part of that is uneducated homeowners coming into contact with salesmen disguised as waterproofers, but
yeah,
that's my personal opinion. But
so if anyone, just so you know about the Federal Pacific electrical panels, if you're going FHA, that appraiser, when he comes out, he's actually going to leave that as a requirement that a new panel be installed before they will give final approval on that appraisal. If you're going conventional, then those things could kind of get overlooked. So this is where your home inspector is coming in, letting you know and kind of flagging that for you. We do have a question though. It says, how do you find a good home inspector?
Well, yeah, so you can obviously look online, read Google reviews, or go on Angie's List. I think Google reviews are kind of the best tell. And then, call around, call a few home inspectors, call a few of the highest rated ones, and be sure to ask them a lot of questions. And a lot of times what makes a good relationship between a buyer and a home inspector is just kind of a good back and forth. So if you feel comfortable talking to that person on the phone and it feels like they care about your interests and they're not just trying to sell you a home inspection, go with the person that you feel the most comfortable with. And ask that home inspector for past client phone numbers if you can, or their information, and have a personal conversation with their past client and see really how their experience went.
And if you're a client of mine, I do provide a list of home inspectors. Tyler is on my list as well with his contact information. I do provide, it's a preferred like vendor list of home inspectors. So these are folks that I've done business with on there. So that I like to refer people that I know do good business. And I absolutely love the work that Tyler does and some of the other folks that are on the list. But it's the next question she asks is, are you an inspector? What's your information?
Oh, sure. Yeah. So should I give my phone number? Is that?
Yeah, if you want, if you like.
Sure. So I'll give you my scheduler's phone number. His number is 440-708, or sorry, 440-724-3198. Or you could look us up online. Our company is Detailed Home Inspections. So, yeah.
Are you on social media too?
Yeah, we have a Facebook page, but it's my job to tend to it, and I do a bad job of that. So we're trying to be a little more active with it. But you can look us up, Detailed Home Inspections Cleveland on Facebook, and maybe I'll try to get a little more motivated and be on top of it.
Okay. So one of the things I just want to touch on, he made a very good point. I want to make sure that you guys picked up on that when he said about the grading of the house. I actually see that a lot as well, where just over time, I guess the soil kind of washes off a lot. So it just takes time for you to kind of put some soil back against the house and kind of grade so the water flows away from the house. And outside of that is those extensions on like the down spots that kind of just keep the water away from the house as much as possible. So you brought up a really good point about that, bringing that piece of it up.
Yeah, that's key. And if you're not interested in buying or selling a home right now, do that on the house that you live in. Do what you can to keep moisture away from your.
Okay. And then in terms of, do you see anything happening like with the plumbing and the galvanized pipes?
Yeah, you mean supply lines, galvanized steel supply lines?
Yes.
Yeah, so whenever we see galvanized steel supply lines in a home, we recommend to kind of monitor them for loss of pressure. We try to run around 300 gallons of water when we do a home inspection. So if we run that much water, which is, as much water as someone would run in a week of living in a home, and we notice a decent loss in pressure, then we recommend those pipes be replaced. Because the issue with galvanized steel, which you'll find in older homes built before the 50s, is that they rust out from the inside and then they get blocked up so that water can't properly flow through. And then in some homes, your main water line coming into the house is galvanized steel. And in some cases, it's lead. So galvanized steel isn't a health issue, but it's an issue as far as water pressure goes. And lead can be a health issue if it's leaching into your water. And we look for that. If we see the water line coming into the home and if it's lead, we recommend testing the water for lead content or just replacing the line. So.
Okay. And then what about appliances?
Appliances, we don't check non-permanently installed appliances. So like your refrigerator that's in a house, we wouldn't test that. But we check microwaves, dishwashers, garbage disposals, and gas surface ranges or electric ones if they're installed on the countertop, and wall ovens.
Okay, perfect. And then you guys do, I think you mentioned you do, like you look at the roof and the crawl space and any attics and everything.
Yeah. So we'll walk a roof and we'll, tightrope it through an attic and we'll crawl through a crawl space. And our inspectors, including myself, we kind of pride ourselves on being in shape and being able to do those things.
Okay.
Not all inspectors, and not to, throw any shade at other inspectors. Not everyone has the ability to army crawl through a crawl space or, walk the joists all the way across an attic or, tight line the ridge of a roof. So we definitely consider ourselves to have an advantage in those aspects and being able to physically do those things.
Okay. So is there anything that you want to share that you think is important that maybe I didn't share with or ask you about?
Yeah, if you're looking for a home inspector, obviously give us a call and check us out, have a conversation with us, and we can provide you with more information. Some of our services that we provide, but besides home inspections, are sewer line scoping, where we will stick a drain camera down through the sewer line out to the street to see if it's damaged. That's a good idea when you're buying older homes like in Lakewood or Cleveland Heights, or Baker Heights, because they all have old clay tile sewer lines.
When that's the inspection that has me the most worried,
Yeah.
Because those tree roots and cause problems.
Yeah, so you can have damage to your sewer line even in a brand new house. So it's a good idea to get it in older homes, but if you're buying a house that's, say, only 15 years old, but there's a massive tree in the front yard, then I would consider getting the sewer line scope, because those tree roots could be strangling the sewer line. And sometimes if you have to replace the entire sewer line, the price varies, but you could be looking at anywhere between $3,000 and $15,000. So it's expensive. And so aside from that service, we also can test the air for mold spores. And we do radon, and we are certified and licensed to do wood destroying insect termites, wood destroying insect inspections where we look for termites and carpenter ants. Okay.
Well, very good. Can you tell what is that phone number again? I'm gonna type it in here so they can have it.
So it is 440-724-3198.
Okay, I typed that in there so you guys can have his contact information to schedule a home inspection. And you can just do a general home inspection. It doesn't necessarily have to be because you're buying a new home or selling a home. If someone just wanted an inspection.
Yeah, we sometimes will do consultations. If someone just has questions about their home, we will do it for a lower fee and just come and look at things. And if someone just wanted their home inspection done for the sake of doing it, we can do that. And it's always also a good idea to get your home inspected before you list it to sell it, because sometimes if that can be advantageous if you're listing a home and you don't want to have to deal with negotiations. So you have a home inspector list all the issues and you say, this is what it is, and we're selling it as is with these issues. So that can be helpful depending on the situation.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. If you have any questions, any additional questions, feel free to reach out to Tyler, or if you want to reach out to me. People always contact me and reach out for various resources: home inspector, mortgage officers, insurance reps. I have a list of preferred vendors, and I'm happy to share that information with you. I am doing another live Saturday morning. I haven't put it out there yet. We are calling it Tea Time. It's some of the ladies from Brick House Realty. We are just talking about real estate, having kids, just life in general, being business owners. So please look out for that and join us then. You guys are so welcome. And thank you, Tyler, for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so we will be in touch soon.
All right, sounds good.
All right.